Arsenal working on a deal not only to sign Jurrien Timber this summer, but also Romeo Lavia. Son Heung-min, could he be off to Saudi Arabia? Arsenal looking also at Kai Havertz. Tottenham may drop out of the David Raya race, and Villa are closing in on Pau Torres, all on the same day as Christopher Nkunku officially signs for Chelsea. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another live stream. We've got another all new news video for you today. We're talking some of the biggest headlines from the world of football. But as I always say, if you enjoy the live stream at any point or enjoy the video or enjoy the content or whatever it may be, do drop a like on the video throughout the entirety of the live stream. Do subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. And not only that, but also get involved in the chat. Get involved as much as you can, whether it's on stories I'm talking about or whether it's stories that you want to talk about, any kind of talking points that you have thrown up. Do get involved in that. It will all make for very interesting and intriguing reading. I am very sure on that. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's get into the live stream. Let's talk some of the biggest talking points that are buzzing around the world of football today. And we're going to start off with the news that broke last night from David Ornstein in regards to Arsenal and their pursuit of Jurrien Timber. Now, you'll know the name of Jurrien Timber from previous years gone by, in which he's been linked with a fair few Premier League clubs. In all honesty, Manchester United were very much interested when obviously Erik ten Hag first came to the Premier League, because obviously he worked with him from his time at Ajax. Liverpool have also been rumoured to be interested, and I'm sure a few other clubs have also had links to him as well. But it's Arsenal that are seemingly leading the charge right now for him. And allegedly, according to David Ornstein, he took to Twitter last night to say, exclusive, Arsenal working on deal to sign Ajax defender Jurrien Timber. Arsenal have made an opening offer worth £30 million. For Ajax want £50 million. But optimism and a compromise will be reached. Personal terms with Netherlands international, though, thought to be in place. And that all comes from, like I say, David Ornstein of The Athletic. Simply put, this could be a very good move for Arsenal. If it is going to be somewhere in the region between 30 million and 50 million, though, that is even better for the Gunners. They are definitely in need of someone who can boost their defensive options. They can beef up their defensive options. For me, they dropped off last season at a similar time of William Saliba. Now, of course, you can't say for sure, and you can't say that it was definitely the case that an injury to a key player was the whole entire reason for why they suffered with a bit of a downfall towards the back end of the season. But it was a big reason at that, because Saliba had been fantastic throughout the entirety of the campaign, and you saw a big drop-off when obviously he was out of the squad and Arsenal had to rely on other options to fill that void. Timber coming in, though, represents big improvement. It represents a beef up in terms of quality and quantity, of course, in terms of depth. This is a guy who is, in my opinion, very good. He looks strong. He looks like he's got a real presence about him. And most of all, he is a modern-day defender. And what I mean by that is that he is progressive. He is good with the ball at his feet. He doesn't mind dribbling it out from the back. He doesn't mind the ball being at his feet, and especially at a higher place up in the pitch, the middle third, shall we say, of the pitch. He doesn't mind the ball being at his feet in that kind of area. He's capable and got the ability to get the ball out from his feet or dribble with the ball at his feet to try and open up some space around him for others to get into. And this is a modern day defender that I'm sure Arsenal will definitely take to and like the look of. And I'm sure that he'll fit in very well with Mikel Arteta's system, be strong enough at the back. And also, he's got a bit of versatility around him. He can also play as a right back as well as a right centre back and can play as part of a back four or a back three. He does that for the Netherlands quite a bit. So he has got that versatility, and that's to his Arsenal. Ironic, say Arsenal and Arsenal to that as well. So this one looks to me like it will be a very good signing for Arsenal. This one looks to me like if Arsenal can get the deal done, this will definitely be an improvement on the squad. It will add strength, it will add depth. He is more of a right-sided centre-back, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Gabriel, whether they go to a three at the back, whether obviously Saliba moves over to the left, or whether it's going to be Timber that moves to the left. It could be very interesting to see how that one, because he is predominantly a right-sided centre-back. So that could be interesting to view going forward. But in my opinion, this will be a very good move for Arsenal if they can get the deal over the line, of course, and strike up a fee with, of course, Ajax for this player that, like I say, has had a fair bit of interest in him in the past. So from the likes of Erik ten Hag at Manchester United, supposedly Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, this guy is very much highly rated, but Ajax obviously just, or them clubs just never quite saw fit to pursue the deal any further than what it actually did, whether it was finances, whether it was just a change of heart, whether it was other priorities. Obviously, we'll never truly know or understand that. Sticking with Arsenal for our next story, Jurrien Timber is obviously one area of interest for the Gunners, but another area of interest that's come out over the recent days, of course, is Romeo Lavia of Southampton. Now, we spoke about this a few days ago, so we won't go too much over old ground on this, but a slight update from Fabrizio Romano today states that he understands Arsenal are advanced in talks to sign Romeo Lavia. Negotiations ongoing with Southampton and players' camp. Still no official bid. Southampton hope for their record fee for under 21 player. Manchester United interested, but priority is Mason Mount, whilst Chelsea are also keeping a close eye too. Again, I'll reiterate what I said in my previous video. Romeo Lavia looks like he's going to be a quality player. He looks like a good player for the here and now. It looks like he's going to grow into an even better player and an even more quality player in the future. And it's only going to get bigger and better for him. And especially if he gets a big move this summer, and Arsenal obviously being a big club, obviously being title contenders for last season, obviously we'll look to improve again for this season. And of course, with Champions League football in that's going to be in their campaign as well for the forthcoming campaign, it will represent an even bigger stage for Lavia to showcase his talent, his raw talent, and obviously his potential even further. So for Lavia, this is a perfect move for him. For Arsenal, it does represent someone that can do something for the here and now, whilst also not having enough pressure on him to perform right now, but can be slowly bled into that squad for the future. And also, let's face it, youngster, going to be for the here and now, going to be for the future as well. And not only that, but he's going to be part of a squad that is of a similar sort of age, a young age that can grow and evolve still, fits in that kind of age category very well. I know that obviously some Arsenal fans are not happy by this because they don't see him as a world beater right now, and they think that they need that world-class star, them world-class world beaters to come in this transfer window. What I will say to that is I don't think a lot about what business that Arsenal do, or any club for that matter does, should be relied solely in isolation of just one player. It should be about the whole collective outfit. So what I mean is, Lavia is a good signing in isolation. Is it the signing that Arsenal definitely need? Absolutely not. They could probably go for bigger and better. But if you put him with the likes of Declan Rice and maybe to a certain extent Kai Havertz, which we will get onto a little later, and of course now you've got Timber as well, potentially on the horizon. As a collective, that's a very, very strong window in my opinion. So if it was just him in isolation, definitely not. But with him as a collective, with the rest of the Arsenal targets that are coming in, why not? Why not continue to go for this guy and continue to build in the way that they are building? In my opinion, strong move, good move. And we'll wait and see on the kind of potential, I guess we'd say, of one Romeo Lavia. We shall see. Busy day for Arsenal because, like I say, Jurrien Timber is of interest. Romeo Lavia, as Romano says, is advancing at a quick pace, it seems. So too is their interest in Kai Havertz. Now, Kai Havertz, of course, again, another player linked with Arsenal that we've mentioned and talked about a fair few times across this transfer window already. Arsenal seem to be ready to offer a £60 million move for Havertz to Chelsea, of course. It seems that everything is in place for this move to go ahead, except the fee right now. And it seems that Chelsea are prepared to maybe compromise a little bit on their stance on the German midfielder. And that's why Arsenal are seemingly growing in confidence that this move can go ahead. It does seem that Kai Havertz certainly does want this move going forward. So we're waiting to see if obviously a deal can be struck here, but it does seem like there's growing confidence of that. Obviously, with Chelsea as well, you have to consider that there's still the Moises Caicedo stuff going on with them. Could this money be used or partly be used to help fund that move as well? Obviously, there's Saudi Arabian money that's coming in for the players that they're selling to Saudi Arabia. So Chelsea are making a fair few outgoings and clearing up their squad. Whether the Saudi Arabia thing is, it is obviously all legal and above board, it seems, but some fans still seem a bit frustrated and angry about the situation and about how it seems like it's very much exploiting a loophole, which it kind of is in a way. It is definitely exploiting a loophole, but Chelsea are going to make a fair amount of money from these kind of deadwood players and obviously use that on the players that they're interested in. So expect a fair few outgoings, I would say, even more so with the Blues. But then as soon as everything goes out the window, and I know that they've officially signed Christopher Nkunku today, but let's face it, that deal was set in stone ages ago. Expect a lot more transfer activity in terms of incomings for Chelsea going forward. They clear out the deadwood, and then they go again in obviously bolstering and beefing up their squad. And it's going to be pretty scary for everybody else. But they're likely to get at least 55 to 60 million for up front, seemingly, for Kai Havertz. Like I say, is this the right move by Arsenal? In my opinion, probably not. But again, if Arteta's seen something in this guy, if Pep Guardiola even saw something in this guy, because remember, allegedly, City were also monitoring this situation as well, then there must be a player in there, right? If Guardiola and Arteta are seeing this as a viable and good solution to bolstering their squad and adding quality and depth to that squad, surely there must be a player in there, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I feel like there sort of is in a way, and I feel like there's been a multitude of issues surrounding Kai Havertz from his time at Chelsea. I think there's been a lack of stability in that Chelsea team for a number of years. Even when they won the Champions League, there wasn't that stability there for him. It was under Thomas Tuchel, of course. He only just came in. And then you can kind of look at that and say that maybe that was kind of the manager for him, but it just didn't quite work out. Obviously, under Frank Lampard, no stability, no reliability, no even forethought about how he was going to fit into Lampard's squad. And Lampard, not a very good coach anyway. Like I say, Tuchel, you could have saw that as the perfect choice. That didn't quite work out. Graham Potter just, like I say, he played him as a striker. He's not a striker. He's not a striker. And there must have been reasons as to why, when Chelsea did have a proper striker in the likes of Aubameyang and things like that, that why he was getting picked ahead of him in that starting role, leading the line for Chelsea, was questionable in itself. This guy is a very poor finisher, in my opinion. He'll do it. Obviously, he's got a finish in him, but again, it's very inconsistent. And that's kind of sums up his entire game, I suppose you'd say, because he is entirely inconsistent in everything that he does. Don't get me wrong. I do see a player in there, and I do see that maybe with some confidence in him, maybe with the manager adapting his style, maybe with the right players around him, maybe you can still draw out that player that obviously had a lot of potential and a lot of raw talent and a lot of obviously media attention when he was playing in the Bundesliga. But it's all about whether you can find and mine and grind out a player like him to rise to the surface again, like he sort of did in the Bundesliga, which is why, of course, there was a lot of interest in him and why, of course, he got that big money move to Stamford Bridge, obviously 3 years ago. He'll still be living off that Champions League goal, of course he will, but at the same time, he hasn't really done much since, or he didn't even really do that much before then. We'll wait and see, obviously, on the future of Kai Havertz, whether or not this move actually materializes to be a good move or whether it's a waste of money on Arsenal's part. But again, it does seem very interesting that Arsenal are once again going back to Chelsea in order to try and strengthen and bolster their squad. And so I'm sure Chelsea fans, for the most part, are happy about this news and are happy about getting such a big fee for a guy who, okay, it's not exactly covered his entire transfer fee from beforehand. But again, that goal that he scored in the Champions League might have actually won Chelsea a lot of money that might have just about, or maybe even covered it completely, and maybe even more so. So, right time to move him on. I think a clean slate might actually do him the world of good as well. So I think it suits all parties, really. Arsenal seemingly get a target that they want because they pursued him for so long. Whether it's the right move or not, obviously, is debatable. In my opinion, it's not that good of a move. I think there are better players out there that maybe Arsenal should have maybe turned their attention to, or maybe put some of that money that they have used here to better use. Chelsea obviously get rid of more dead wood. Chelsea obviously can reinvest a large portion of that money in whoever they decide to bring in going forward. And of course, for Kai Havertz, like I said, I think a fresh start will do him the world of good. He seems to really want this move. And again, it's another player that's crossing that London divide, going from Chelsea to Arsenal. Very, very strange. But we move because that's just the way that modern football is now for some reason. Moving on from the Arsenal stuff, because we talked a lot about Arsenal. They've got their they've got a lot of plates spinning, shall we say? Best way to put it for Arsenal. Jurrien Timber, Kai Havertz, and Romeo Lavia all possibly going to be making the move to Arsenal this summer. Going to be very interesting. And like I say, as a collective, I think they are very good in terms of overall package, overall strengthening the squad. And of course, with Champions League football on the horizon as well, you would imagine that they'll only continue to beef up that squad, whether it's going to be for the good moves or the right moves. Obviously, there's the Declan Rice situation as well. That's still ongoing and still rumbling on. And for whatever reason, it's taking a long time to sort out. Don't know why. Don't understand why that is. Don't understand why it's taking so long when Arsenal know the kind of ballpark figure that West Ham are looking for. And of course, they spent 6 months trying to negotiate this. In 6 months, how are you taking this long to negotiate? You know what West Ham want by now. Surely you know what West Ham want by now. Why is it taking so long? And Jesus Christ, if they don't get any of these deals through and over the line and they end up just with Lavia or even losing Lavia and having to find even more alternatives, I wouldn't want to be Edu or is it David Garlick? David Garlick? Richard Garlick? I want to say Richard Garlick. I don't know why I said David. I won't want to be them two leading, obviously, Arsenal's transfer committee because Arsenal fans will want their heads if, obviously, the plans for the transfer window doesn't exactly go according to plan. So get your finger out, Arsenal, and actually start making some signings because, Jesus Christ, Arsenal fans are growing impatient. And I'm even growing impatient, and I'm not an Arsenal fan. I just want some things to be over and done with. I don't understand why they're taking so long. Especially the Declan Rice one, like I say. Madness to me. But we move, and we're going to go to... So right, let's go to Chelsea. It was a good segue from Kai Havertz and Chelsea, from an outgoing to an incoming. The confirmation and official announcement of Christopher Nkunku is here. He is officially a Chelsea player. We knew this right from near the beginning of the season. He signed when Thomas Tuchel was in charge, or the many months ago. It seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? It seems like it's been a very long, drawn-out season. It seems like Christopher Nkunku was signed ages ago. But now, officially, it is done, dusted, official, signed, sealed, and delivered. He's yours, Chelsea fans. Christopher Nkunku is officially a Chelsea player. I want to know your thoughts on this, because it'll be very interesting to me to figure it out, because I see him as a quality player. I see him as a very versatile player. Very much skillful, good technical ability, quick. I like this signing a lot, and I think he can offer Chelsea a lot, particularly in terms of versatility and adding depth to the forward line in particular. I just want to know, where do you think his best position is, really? Do you think it's playing as a striker? Do you think it's playing as a second striker? Do you think it's playing just off the striker in a number 10 role? Do you see it being as a winger? I'm very interested to know what Chelsea fans think of Christopher Nkunku as a whole, and what they actually think he might do in this Pochettino Chelsea. Because let's face it, he was signed when Thomas Tuchel was in charge. Is this going to be a guy who comes in and works well with Pochettino? A manager that he seemingly at that time, now, if we are to believe what reports are saying, he signed when Tuchel was in charge. So we've got to believe, or from that point of view, we've got to believe that he had no idea Poch was going to be in charge, and that there was going to be a whole lot of change at Chelsea in terms of obviously Graham Potter, in terms of then obviously moving on to Pochettino. Will he fit in with this Pochettino system? Will he fit in with Pochettino's plans? And how does Pochettino use him? What is the position for him? What's his role in that squad? How do you see it going for him? I'm very intrigued to know and to hear your thoughts, particularly on Christopher Nkunku, the new Chelsea player in this Pochettino side and system. So do get involved in the chat, comment section, wherever it may be. Next, from one London club to another, Tottenham Hotspur. And this could be a massive, monumental signing, should obviously there be some legitimacy, some truth, and maybe even some more pursuit, shall we say, from Saudi Arabia. The latest from the Saudi Arabian influence and takeover, as I'm sort of calling it, on all players from Europe that have got some sort of profile and high quality to them, is that they are allegedly interested in one Son Heung-min. Now, Son Heung-min, of course, is of Tottenham, and allegedly they have received a proposal in the region of £50 million, could be rising to 60, for Son from Al Ittihad of Saudi Arabia. This one is interesting again because I'm very interested in what Tottenham fans think of this, because obviously Son hasn't had the best of seasons. He's had a very poor drop off this campaign, and he is 31 years of age, so he's getting on a bit. Is this the ideal opportunity to offload Son right now? Now, according to reports, Tottenham have waved away this offer. Tottenham are not even entertaining this offer, and they say that he won't be sold. But we know that Daniel Levy is a businessman. We know that for the right price, anybody is for sale. So, is there some legs and some truth in this? Could they come back with a second offer? It'll be very interesting to me, and also very interesting to know, like I say, what Tottenham fans think. He's not getting any younger. He's hit 31. He had a big drop-off this season. Do one-season drop-offs happen in football? Is this obviously what we're seeing from Son now is going to be the start of a decline that's going to continue? Has he declined to his level? He's been playing out of his skin for the past few years. That maybe he's been overperforming, and now we're seeing the real Son. I want to know what Tottenham fans think on this, because I'm very interested to know what you think you should do with him. Do you keep him? Do you run down his contract and let him leave? Do you, like I say, do you just simply let him go to Saudi Arabia? Do you pick up the paycheck whilst you have a very good opportunity to make a lot of money on him? And do you do it? I know that he brings a lot of eyes from obviously South Korea, and I know that he brings a lot of eyes as an Asian icon. But do you cash in on him now whilst you have that kind of asset? Because obviously Son is an icon in South Korea. You know, like he is. He's like a megastar over there, I guess you'd say. Losing him obviously would lose a ton of support for him. Well, not for him, but for his role at Spurs, and it would lose Spurs a fair amount as well. But at the same time, cashing on him now might make a good business decision, might make good business sense. Like I say, you see that with Harry Kane, the same situation. Tottenham don't want to sell him, but if for the right price comes along with 1 year left on his contract, surely Daniel Levy will have to consider selling him. Jordan Hyman, hey bro, how are you doing on this, kind of damp and wet Tuesday morning, I guess you'd say. How are you doing, bro? Hope you're good. Hope you are well. Talking Son right now. We've talked about Timber. We've talked about Kai Havertz. We've talked about Christopher Nkunku, Romeo Lavia, and now we're just talking about Heung-min Son, my dude. But yes, Son brings a lot of eyes from South Korea over with him wherever he goes. A lot of influence there. He's a megastar in that country and in that community, and obviously in that continent. I'm just very much intrigued as to what Tottenham do. And I'm very much intrigued as to the thoughts and feelings of Spurs fans. Do they cash in on him? Do they let his contract run down? Or do they try and tie him down to a new deal? Maybe let him go on a free at the end of it? I don't know. Very much intrigued, and I'm very much interested. Simply for the reason that, obviously, if this was Son of a couple of years ago, a couple of seasons ago, where he's at the peak of his powers, he's at the top of his game. He's pretty much carrying Spurs because Harry Kane that season had a bit of a drop-off. I don't think you sell him, or I think at least you get even more money. I think maybe with the drop-off, it's sort of started at a little bit lower. I'm just very much interested to see where this thing goes from here. Does this thing just completely die? Does this thing escalate? Do Saudi Arabia really want this guy? Like I say, this guy could really bring more eyes to the Saudi Arabian League. And let's face it, this whole influence, this whole throwing around of money, this whole wanting to boost their league is simply for players like him to come over to their league, someone with massive profile, someone with a massive reputation and a big following, to come over to their league in order to boost it, in order to improve it. We saw it happen with China years ago. The MLS were doing it from obviously the David Beckham era right the way through to the likes of your Steven Gerrards, your Frank Lampards, your Thierry Henrys, your Wayne Rooneys, all going to the MLS. China then followed suit. We're now seeing it with Saudi Arabia. Will that continue to grow as a footballing kind of country? Will that continue to grow in terms of league and their stature? Only time will tell, but this seems to be the latest player to be linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. Whether that escalates, whether they actually pursue this, we wait and see. But it does make for very interesting and intriguing reading. Next up, we're staying with Tottenham again, because this David Raya situation might be taking another twist as Tottenham threaten to pull out and drop out of the race for David Raya. Now, we've known for a while that Brentford have wanted 40 million. It's been no secret that they have wanted 40 million for the Spanish goalkeeper. And yet, surprise, surprise, Daniel Levy doesn't want to pay the 40 million. We know this. We know he's stingy with money. We know he just won't ever pay the money up front. We know that. We know he doesn't want to do that. We know that he is the equivalent of Mr. Krabs and from SpongeBob, and obviously Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. We know that. He is very stingy with money. We know that he doesn't just throw it around. We know that he will squeeze everything out of a player's sale that he can. We know that he will try and cut down the price tag as much as he can. We know that, despite obviously Brentford's stance having been for a while on this, £40 million. And now they threaten to pull out. Now they threaten that they can't whittle down the asking price. They can't take down Brentford's asking price. So they try and get it cheaper. It doesn't work. They now threaten to pull out. Tottenham are in need of a goalkeeper, definitely. And we've known this, and we thought that David Raya would be a great signing. And for 40 million, okay, he is entering the final year of his current deal with Brentford. They could easily pick him up for free next year, but who's to say that another team with a bigger influence and a bigger pull won't be interested in David Raya? We already know the likes of Manchester United and Chelsea are looking for goalkeepers, and David Raya's name has been linked with a move to either of those clubs that will obviously have bigger pulls than Tottenham. Chelsea more in terms of money, but also Chelsea in terms of a massively ambitious project. And it's guaranteed, well, nothing's ever a guarantee, but it's more of a guarantee that Chelsea will start winning trophies again before Tottenham do. Manchester United under Erik ten Hag, their trajectory is on the way up. If they pursue David Raya further, with David De Gea obviously still having a contract on the table, but maybe having reduced playing time, of course, they are looking for a new number one, it seems. Not only will he have the pull of going to a club like Manchester United in terms of their stature and their size, but also you get to play as the number one goalkeeper for one of, if not the biggest club in England. Not in my opinion, still think it's Liverpool, but still, one of the biggest clubs in England. Daniel Levy, stingy as hell, doesn't want to pay the 40 million. Now, it's mad to me because I think David Raya is a very good and accomplished goalkeeper. Premier League proven, of course, with Brentford. Very solid piece of business this would be. Good with the ball at his feet as well. Not maybe the best, but still very good with the ball at his feet in terms of progression. And, of course, is played in a Brentford system that likes to play out from the back at times and can also mix it up between going short to going long and direct. Just very interested to know and to understand why this is. Is this just a negotiation tactic from Levy, or is this actually genuine from him as well? David Raya seemingly wants out of Brentford, so that may be escalating things to the point where Brentford may be forced to reduce the asking price if they can't get interest for him. But like I said, I don't think they'll have a problem getting interest for this guy. It's just going to be very interesting what Brentford do. The ball is seemingly now in Brentford's court. If the price tag will be lowered, then it's a stroke of masterclass by Daniel Levy, and I'll take my hat off to him if I actually had a hat, and I don't think I have a hat. So I would take my hat off to him if I had one. But at the same time, we're waiting to see. We're waiting to see what happens with this. I just think if I was Daniel Levy, I'd just pay up. I just pay the 40 million and be done with it. Get that over and done with, because goalkeeper is definitely what they need. It's definitely an area they need to strengthen even before this season, but whatever the case may be. And David Raya, for me, represents a good, solid choice goalkeeper who can be at a very good level for a number of years to come. Yeah. So for me, the 40 million pays for itself in terms of longevity. The 40 million pays itself in terms of you're getting a very good and solid goalkeeper. I just pay the money. I don't understand why he's messing around with it, but we know he does this. And also, the longer he leaves it, the more threat there is that maybe a team like Chelsea or Manchester United that we talked about may come in for this guy. And if that is obviously the case, they've got to turn their attention. And already people have started to speculate who may Tottenham turn their attention to, should, of course, they miss out on David Raya or look for alternatives elsewhere. There's Brighton goalkeeper Robert Sanchez. And what we know of Brighton is that obviously they basically promoted, so we say, Jason Steele to being the number one choice goalkeeper for the majority of this season ahead of Sanchez. And also the Seagulls are expected to sign another young goalkeeper this summer, which could pave the way for Sanchez to leave this season. We know that I think his contract is running down, I believe it's entering the final 1 or 2 years, I believe. So I could be wrong on that, but I think that is the case. So there is a case, obviously, for Sanchez to go and maybe be on the lookout to explore his options elsewhere. Tottenham could turn their attention to another Spanish goalkeeper in that aspect. But there's also Valencia's Jurrien Mamadashvili. Don't know too much about him, but I know that there is a lot of talk about this guy, and there's a lot of potential and high prospect and very good reviews about this particular goalkeeper. The only issue, again, is probably that if he wasn't prepared to pay the 40 million for David Raya, allegedly, Mamadashvili may be even more. So I doubt that one will actually be genuine and legitimate. And then there's also Borussia Dortmund's Gregor Kobel. Here's another name that allegedly has been linked to Tottenham. So Tottenham definitely on the lookout for a new goalkeeper at the very least. One, shall we say. But for me, David Raya is less of a gamble than the others. And also for 40 million, like I say, 40 million, you get a goalkeeper for several years to come, going to basically pay that transfer fee across those few years. Premier League proven, solid goalkeeper overall. I'd be encouraging Daniel Levy at all costs just to pay the 40 million and shut the hell up and actually do something. Because Jesus Christ, being very stingy and trying to save money a little bit here and there, and he's probably trying to get like £1.50 off of the deal, and it's like, just pay the money, dude. Just pay that money. I'm even saying it as an outsider. Jesus Christ. Last story we're going to talk about. Aston Villa closing in on one Pau Torres. This could be a big, massive move for Aston Villa as they go in search of Villarreal's Pau Torres. Obviously, Unai Emery will know him very well from his time at Villarreal. This was a centre-back and a defender and a guy who, again, similar to Jurrien Timber, was one of the most sought-after defenders in the past couple of years. He's been highly rated, highly sought of, and had a lot of potential to his already raw talent for the present and for today. This is a guy that's been linked with the likes of Liverpool in the past, the likes of, I believe, Chelsea, and of course, with Manchester United as well. And if Aston Villa of all teams can pull this off, then that is fantastic for Villa. Of course, Villa in the Europa Conference League for next season. So they're going to look to beef up their squad. This could be a massive transfer for them. Obviously, it might represent a big fee, but what we do know about this is that obviously Pau Torres is entering the final year of his Villarreal contract. Unai Emery has worked with him before, and they are confident that a deal, maybe in the region of 40 million, Villa are hoping that maybe they can get that price tag down a little bit over time, might actually be enough to secure this deal. And I think Torres would jump at the chance, obviously working with a manager that made him kind of central to his defensive area and to obviously the rebuild of Villarreal under Emery. I think he'd jump at the chance. Obviously, Europa Conference League is what awaits Aston Villa this season. I think it will be a very good competition, shall we say, for Tyrone Mings going forward, if obviously he is to stay and everything. I know that a lot of people don't rate Tyrone Mings, but I think he is a capable defender, and especially in an Unai Emery system, I think obviously he may even get better in that regard. But I think with Torres coming in, I think obviously suits Emery, obviously was central to his plans whilst at Villarreal, so does know the system, does know how he wants to play, won't take too much in terms of adapting and everything. I think this will be a very good move for Aston Villa. It would be a big statement if they can get it to somewhere in that £40 million mark for a signing that obviously a lot of people and a lot of clubs were raving about and were sought to be after only a year or two ago. And it could be a case of maybe even breaking Aston Villa's club record transfer fee. So that would be a big statement in itself. I think this could be a very interesting and exciting move as far as what Aston Villa are concerned. I believe it will boost and beef up their options in terms of squad depth and everything. And of course, like I say, with the Europa Conference League happening for Villa, you would expect them, just because of the league they are in and the manager as well. Let's face it, this is a manager with big European pedigree, especially in terms of winning the Europa League. So if he's going to drop down to, shall we say, to the third tier of of European football, they will have a strong and very good chance of maybe doing what West Ham did this year and maybe winning that competition. So we'll wait and see, obviously, what happens there. But Aston Villa making some very interesting and some very good moves this summer. And I think full credit to Unai Emery and Villa for doing that. They've already got Jurrien Tielemans through the door. Of course, I think he will be a good move for Villa. but we're waiting to see, obviously, what does come about of Aston Villa this season. But I, for one, am very intrigued so far with what Unai Emery is putting together and with how they look to be setting up for the season. Like I say, if they can get Pau Torres through the door as well, I think he'll be an excellent addition to that Aston Villa squad. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think, feel, your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, on any of the stories that I've talked about. Feel free to leave them in the chat, in the comment section. Whether it's anything that I've talked about or whether it's anything that you guys want to talk about for a future video or anything along those lines, anything like that would be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Hit the like on the video on the way out if you enjoy the video / live stream. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. Thank you once again for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever the hell it may be.